Well, hello and welcome to Rajat TV. You watching discussion today with the host Rajat Kain. Now, Election Commission has announced the schedule for assembly elections in the states of Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Puducherry. A total of 823 assembly constituency will go to polls during these elections. Around 19 crore electors will cast at 2.7 lakh polling stations, which is a mammoth exercise in the states of Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Kerala, Assam and Puducherry. While Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry will vote in single phase on the 6th of April, the Assam will vote in 3 phases and West Bengal in 8 phases. To discuss more on this issue, we are joined with senior journalist Shekhar Iyer. Many thanks for joining us, sir. And Mr. R. Rajagopalan. Many thanks for joining us, Mr. Gopalan. Let me start with you, Shekhar. Sir, it'll be a huge exercise, and of course, like as we're coming out of the pandemic, so let's start with those issues first. I mean, how would you congratulate Election Commission in advance to conduct this exercise?
Well, we can see from the announcement made by the Chief Election Commissioner, Sunil Arora ji, today, a lot of preparations, a lot of inputs have been taken from all the poll-bound states. Besides, the experience of Bihar, which Mr. Arora mentioned today, has been fully taken into account in terms of maintaining physical distancing, sanitization of the booth, then the sanitization of voters who enter the booth, and subsequently other arrangements that have been gone into in detail, because from what we could understand from today's press conference, that Election Commission has taken into account both the states that are recovering from the corona situation and also in cases like Kerala, where things have again been slightly alarming. And along with that, the security situation, the law and order situation, the inputs that they have got about the law and order situation, particularly from West Bengal, I think all that has been factored into announcing this schedule, where we can see that while Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Puducherry will have 1-day poll, Assam will have a 3-day poll. Now, Assam earlier had a 2-day poll.
Right.
And subsequent to Assam being declared a disturbed area because of some militant activity, there also, I think, the ground situation has been taken into account to ensure a free, fair polling. Now, of course, Bengal is the most important state in this connection, where Election Commission thought it fit to hold 8-phase poll. Now, we must remember in 2016 also there was actually 6 phase, and the 6th phase was actually divided into 2 parts. And you had Lok Sabha elections, which was again conducted in 7 phases. So there has been increase of 1 phase. But what has to be taken into account is Bengal has had a history of political violence, not just in the off season, but even during the elections, whether it is Panchayat elections, whether it is assembly election, the Lok Sabha elections, or even assembly by-elections, and now the assembly elections. So therefore, I think the Election Commission has thought it fit, and one must commend the Election Commission to having taken this step to ensure a free and fair poll, where the political parties, their workers and the voters feel that they are in a secure environment. Rajat.
Right. Many thanks, sir, for your opening remarks. Mr. Rajagopalan, sir, given we experienced Bihar assembly elections, that was one, of course, that was 1 phase. There was, along with that, there was simultaneous by-polls to Lok Sabha. But comparing that, this exercise happens to be fairly mammoth. Like, there are as many, one could say, 5 times more number of constituencies that went to poll in Bihar, taking in combination of all the 5 states. Now, how different would you see the participation of electors in this election, taking into consideration COVID? We're just talking about COVID. Next, we'll go to the issues and all. So,
we must congratulate the Election Commission, the full bench as such, because it's a 3 or 4 months exercise. They have gone to the states. Prior to that, the Deputy Election Commissioner went there. Prior to that, there was a CEO conference of all the 5 states in Delhi. Therefore, it's a mammoth exercise taken place. Second thing, as Mr. Sunil Arora today mentioned, for the first time, they have included in the official participation the state health secretaries to take the corona into consideration. And Mr. Sunil Arora also said that pandemic situation during that in the world over, when democracies were fighting for their rights, India stood first and Bihar was the first one. So learning certain exercises from Bihar, they are implementing. As you mentioned, it's 824 constituencies total, 18 crore voters, 22 lakh booths. It's a mammoth exercise. It's not 1 or 2 days, Rajat. Things are in the right perspective, and the credit goes to the entire team of Election Commission for chalking out these strategic programs. And second thing, the election observers, there are 2 parts in that. One is to take care of the law and order. So retired IPS officers have been appointed. For the example of Tamil Nadu, the Chief Election Commissioner also 2 times mentioned that countermanding of 2 booths, there are 2 assembly, 1 parliament and 1 assembly constituency in Tamil Nadu because of some malpractices. Some money was being found, some cash was being found like that. So to contain that, to hold the free and fair elections, the Election Commission decided to send 2 economic observers, fiscal observers, that is monetary type of things, how retired Indian Revenue Service officers have been identified, and they all are being deployed in 5 different states. So coming back to that point, again I'm saying a mammoth exercise done well by Sunil Arora team. Congratulations to them.
Right, absolutely. Well, let's start dissecting the elections. Well, of course, we're not conducting exit poll here. Shekhar Iyer, talking about West Bengal and Assam, of course, like these are the neighboring states. Given the geography of these elections, you have the 2 neighboring states and you have 3 neighboring states. So talking of West Bengal and Assam, so what issues do you think would be the most talked about? Let's not discuss about the political parties, but as a journalist, what you will see cropping up during the campaign?
Well, in West Bengal, I think it is the governance record of the last 5 years particularly, and of the last 10 years that Mamata Banerjee-led Trinamool Congress has provided. And also the second thing that will be discussed is also issues relating to, particularly in Bengal, lack of investment, lack of employment potential, and also the pace of development activity. Along with that, there are also serious charges about, political extortions, political violence, and overall a fear, an atmosphere of fear that has prevailed in that state. Now, in Assam, the issues are actually, one is the developmental issue, which has seen the Chief Minister, the sitting Chief Minister, Sarabhananda Sonowal, has managed to achieve in the last 5 years. And along with that, there is also the issue of the Citizenship Amendment Act, which the opposition is trying to make it a big issue, saying that this act, and also there was an attempt at a draft, National Register for Citizens, which also created a lot of controversies because some genuine people of Assam were found left out. And there were allegations that those who are actually foreigners have been included. Now, what has come clear is from the BJP side, it has been very clarified that no genuine citizen will be kept out.
Right.
And as far as NRC, I think the matter has been put in the cold storage. So I don't see NRC as a main issue. But definitely, we have seen the state government reach out to a lot of indigenous groups and tribes. And the government has also taken steps to, particularly regarding the Bodos. The Bodo language has been included, has been made an official language along with Assamese. Now, and from the opposition side, of course, they will also look at the legacy of the Sarabhananda Sonowal government of the last 5 years. So we are going to see a very interesting elections in both in Assam and Bengal.
Right, right. Many thanks, Shekhar Iyer. Well, to our viewers, with a caveat, these are just the overview, rather professional overview of the journalist, as we are not dissecting any manifesto of political parties here. This is how what journalists, senior journalists, are observing at, from a distance, or to say at an academic level. Mr. Rajagopalan, if we talk specifically about Tamil Nadu, sir, we have seen till last election the stalwarts or 2 stalwarts of Tamil Nadu elections. They used to be there, and elections used to center around them. Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi, they both are not here in this election. How different do you see this election after nearly 4 decades? If I'm right, I mean, these two, or at least 3 decades, these two personalities dominated the state of, or rather say, the electorate of Tamil Nadu. Now it's a second generation in one party, and of course the other generation in the other party.
So it's an interesting election because, as you mentioned, the passing away of Karunanidhi, the legendary leader, and also the Madam Jayalalitha have created a vacuum, but that did not deter the present Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy to come up to the expectations of the people to handle the corona. As I have been saying, every crisis, Rajat, throws out a leadership. In Tamil Nadu, the crisis of the tornado, the two successive storms in Tamil Nadu, the weather condition was very bad, very bad. It cost many lives and damages to the properties. He handled it very well. Now the corona, for the last 1 year, the present Chief Minister has risen to the occasion, as he was a disciple of Jayalalitha, and he was also minister in Jayalalitha cabinet, and he was a member of parliament, Mr. Edappadi Palaniswamy.
Yep.
Now coming to the point of DMK, even the Mr. M.K. Stalin has been in politics for the last 3 decades. He is giving a tough fight to Mr. Edappadi Palaniswamy. The fight is between ADMK and DMK. I have observed the elections from 1967 onwards. I would very interesting things, or 2 or 3, which I would like to enunciate to Rajya Sabha TV viewers.
Please, sir.
One is the Dravidian culture is little slowly fading away. Now, in 2016, we saw the landslide victory of Jayalalitha. In 2021, it is not going to be one-side victory. For any election, there must be a wave. There is no wave in Tamil Nadu. There is no anti-incumbency wave of Edappadi Palaniswamy, nor the pro-wave of DMK. And the reluctance of Rajinikanth, the superstar, who took a plunge into the politics and suddenly he withdrew.
Right.
So that is also a big debate in Tamil Nadu. Now the third is Kamala Hassan. Kamala Hassan very recently gone on tour to entire Tamil Nadu. 3 rounds of tours he has undertaken, election poll rallies. He has also seen the pulse of the people. Now, for the first time in Tamil Nadu, there are 4 chief ministerial aspirants. One is the Edappadi Palaniswamy, who is a present chief minister, and the 3 others are Mr. M.K. Stalin, Mr. Kamal Hassan, and Mr. T.T.V. Dinakaran. So these 4 candidates create lot of generation of ideas, and they go with their manifestos, as you exactly put it a short while ago, and things are very favorable for a dance of democracy. I would say Tamil Nadu is going to experience another 2 months very interesting phase of dance of democracy. But in nutshell, I would say whomsoever is winning, the winnable candidate will not win in huge margin. It is going to be a wafer thin margin, say from even 100 votes to 1,000 votes.
Okay.
Such a type fight is going to take place between ADMK and DMK, backed by Mr. Narendra Modi's popular program. Yesterday he was in Coimbatore, and last week he was in Chennai. So therefore, Mr. Edappadi Palaniswamy, ADMK, and Mr. Narendra Modi and jointly addressed 2-3 meetings. Things are going to happen. Rahul Gandhi is also going to Tamil Nadu very frequently. But in the alliance of DMK and Congress, it has not firmed up, as DMK is also reluctant in giving more seats to them because they want to capture power. Right. Another interesting thing, from 2001 onwards, Rajat, the DMK has never won the majority mark of 234. The majority is 118. They never touched 118. They ran a minority government all the 4 terms. Now, the father did not do that majority government. He presided a minority government, that is Karunanidhi. How son would do is a question mark. How he is going to come up to the expectations of the voters, whether he will fulfill the vacuum of Mr. Karunanidhi's popularity, we have to wait and watch. But in the Lok Sabha, DMK has won with tremendous amount of 38 seats
38
out of 39 parliament constituencies because they projected Rahul Gandhi as the prime ministerial candidate. But the country spoke different way. Country voted for Mr. Narendra Modi. Therefore, Tamil voters are now thinking, why did we vote for Mr. Rahul Gandhi? Since the entire nation is with Narendra Modi, therefore there is a change of heart. Second thing, the BJP in Tamil Nadu is accusing DMK of anti-Hindu party. So therefore, that Hindutva plank is also opening up in Tamil Nadu. For the first time, when they opened, the political parties opened their nomination forms to be filled in, I saw a lot of DMK, those who are atheists, till last year, they were never observing the Hindu protocols. They were against the God. They don't consider God is in existence. But now, in DMK, there are some candidates who go to temple, place the nomination form before the deity, take that, this vibhuti type of, headgear mark. So these are all certain things. Spiritualism has come into it, which Rajinikanth has been enunciating. So therefore, that slowly that Dravidian culture is fading away and Hindutva culture is coming in. So this will also play a crucial role in Tamil Nadu.
Right, Mr. Rajagopalan. That's extremely, I would say, you elucidated in a fairly expansive way. Many thanks, sir. Shekhar Iyer, let's talk about the personalities here. Like as we just talked about Tamil Nadu, like how they used to be two massive personalities. Of course, who were the quotient of the entire election. This time around, we don't have those two. We have other leaders. In general, if we talk, forget Tamil Nadu, forget other 5 states, in general, how have we seen Indian polity in assembly polls swayed by personality cults? We have seen at the national picture, Shekhar Iyer, but in the state assemblies, how does this factor plays? Mr. Iyer.
Well, Rajat, if you consider Tamil Nadu, okay, Tamil Nadu is a different situation this time. But in Bengal, it is still Mamata Banerjee-led Trinamool Congress that is facing the, I would say, facing the voters for the 3rd time because she already got 2 terms. She has done about 10 years as Chief Minister. And today, Trinamool's face and Mamata's face are identical. So in West Bengal, it is again the personality of Mamata Banerjee which is going to decide the outcome. And from the opposition side, at least from the BJP side, they have not yet projected a face. And you have a 3rd front in the shape of a Congress left front and an Indian secular front led by a cleric, that is Abbas Siddiqui. Now, they have also not projected any face. But if you come to Assam, the BJP is projecting Sarabhadan Sonowal, the sitting chief minister, as its face of the party. So in Assam, it is a different situation. On the other hand, now with the passing away of a senior Congress leader like Tarun Gogoi, the Congress is yet to project any face. Now let's come to Kerala. Now Kerala is going to be a very interesting election this time, where the CPM, led by the current sitting chief minister Pinarayi Vijayan, he has been, I would say, defying the trends because Kerala has always seen that the voters choose between Congress-led UDF and the left front-led LDF. And they always alternate. People prefer changing the government every 5 years. But this time, one is not sure whether this is going to happen. Because in the Lok Sabha elections, the Congress-led UDF completely swept the Kerala elections. They won, out of the 20 seats, they won 19 seats. Now, but in the local self-government elections, I think the results were as a shock because the Congress did so well in the Lok Sabha elections, could not do much in the local self-government elections where the left managed to do a very good performance. And also in the last 2 years, we have seen Pinarayi Vijayan's government has undertaken a lot of development scheme, reached out to the poor and corrected its mistakes on the issue of the Sabarimala. You see, the last decision taken by the Pinarayi government was to even withdraw cases against those activists who were protesting against the forced entry of women on the basis of a Supreme Court order. So you can see there a lot of corrections has happened, and Kerala is going to see Pinarayi Vijayan probably making history in bringing back CPM back to power. So in terms of personalities, barring Tamil Nadu, I think the personalities are at work, whether it is in Assam or whether it is in West Bengal or whether it is in Kerala. Of course, Puducherry is a completely different case. But
Right.
there again, you have regional parties like NR Congress, which is led by
Rangaswamy,
N. Ranga,
If I'm correct.
N. Ramaswamy,
Ramaswamy,
who is
yes, I'm sorry, yeah.
Rangaswamy, who is also the face of the opposition. And on the other hand, you have Narayanaswamy, who has just lost his government because many of his ministerial colleagues shifted to the opposition side. So this is going to be an interesting scenario, Rajat.
Right, right. Many thanks, sir. Rajagopalan, sir, last question. So, no big personalities in Tamil Nadu this time. But I'm just fascinated with Tamil Nadu because this time around, all of us, all three of us are having this sort of agreement, okay, it will be a different election. In terms of voter participation, we have seen these 5 states actually poll quite high, nearly about 80-odd%. Now, if we talk of Tamil Nadu, given the lack of personality, of course, for the natural reasons, would you see a same enthusiasm among voters?
Of course, there is an enthusiasm.
Okay.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP rally was largely attended. Second thing, Tamil Nadu is now slowly gripping the famous way of national mainstream. That is a new take which I would like to emphasize to Rajat Sabha viewers. The point is, the BJP, Mr. Nadda, who went to Tamil Nadu 2 times, he mentioned, those are 21 mein Vipaksh, those are 26 mein Satta Paksh. In 2021, we are opposition, and in 2026, we are going to be the ruling party. So that type of, is many political coins are being decided. Now, how it's going to translate into action, we have to wait and watch.
Right.
But the BJP is making certainly inroads in Puducherry, in Tamil Nadu, in last year in Hyderabad. So therefore, the southern states, which Mr. Amit Shah's point of view was, out of 103, 104 parliament seats, the BJP should concentrate at least on 25 to 30. So with that motive in 2024 ahead, Lok Sabha, they planned it in such a way, they are entering into Tamil Nadu. From 21 to 24, there will be a 2 years rule of any party which is coming to power, and that will be deciding. BJP has made inroads into Tamil Nadu and also in Puducherry.
Right.
So that is one major significant aspect, because national mainstream parties are coming into focus in Tamil Nadu. The voters' enthusiasm is much higher. And if Rajinikanth would have played a crucial role, it would have been a one-sided election. Since Rajinikanth opted out of politics, it's going to be an interesting election.
Okay. Right, Mr. Rajagopalan. Right. Mr. Iyer, I just have a minute to squeeze in here. As we have seen a little spurt in COVID numbers, will you see that impacting voter turnout? Just last 1 minute, sir.
Well, I think with the steps taken by the Election Commission, which actually among the states that are going to polls, there is a lot of concern regarding the COVID, particularly in the state of Kerala, because Kerala initially reported good success in containing the spread of the disease, but of late there have been some alarming figures. So therefore, we will have to wait to see the next 2 months how the issue pans out, and if the corona is again brought under control, I don't see any less percentage of polling, because in the last elections it was about 77%, and I would expect it to be anywhere above 70%. Rajat.
Right. Many thanks, sir. Many thanks, Mr. Rajagopalan. Many thanks, Mr. Shekhar Iyer. And we wish you all the very best if you go out in the field to cover these elections. Stay safe. COVID pandemic is still on. So please take all the precautions. And many thanks for joining us and elucidating on these important elections. Well, and many thanks to our viewers for watching this edition of Discussion Today. Thank you. Goodbye.